So I always enjoyed having theological discussions with my friends and family. And I've never been shy about, expressing my beliefs and asking other people what they believed. Me and my brother-in-law, we would have these talks. He would visit from out of town. And one day he told me that he was, just researching into Catholic doctrine and stuff like that. And when he told me that, I think at first I thought maybe he's looking into it to kind of refute it or something. But as the conversation progressed, he basically was telling me that he was becoming Catholic. And so that hit me like a ton of bricks. So that really left me confused. And so after that initial conversation, I asked him a lot of questions and he gave me answers, but to be honest, I wasn't open to the answers that he provided. So he was very patient, and I would go visit him, he would visit me. And so it bothered me that he had converted, because I thought it was a lie, I thought it was false. And I thought that Catholicism, was leading people to hell. So for him to do something like that was very troubling. And so for whatever reason, I just thought, I should at least be open to listen to a debate with Dr. Scott Hahn. And it was over salvation, which for Protestants that's like one of the key issues I think that divides us. It kind of messed with me, it kind of shook me, the way that he was able to articulate what he believed, and he was able to use the Bible and make a coherent argument for the Catholic faith. After that experience, I do remember kind of thinking, well, there might be something here. There might be some truth. They can't be all wrong. And so that kind of opened the door to at least being open. Now, this was not something that I could share. I couldn't tell my friends. I couldn't tell my wife or my family members that kind of open to Catholicism. And I didn't expect myself to convert. I wasn't expecting that either. But little by little, I just started watching videos and listening to different shows and people explaining the Catholic faith. And after a while, a lot of it just started to make sense. And it helped me understand the Christian worldview better, diving into Christian history, learning about the church fathers, and learning about what unites us as Christians. I realized that as a Protestant, as a Baptist, the things that united us with Catholics were the essentials of the faith, like the resurrection. And I think the resurrection was the most important thing about Christianity, because if the resurrection is not true, then Catholicism, Protestantism, none of it matters. As I started looking into church history, I think one of the things that were clear was the fact that the Eucharist is the body and blood of Jesus Christ. The two things that led me to Catholicism were the belief in the Eucharist and baptismal regeneration. And to see how the church was united in its belief of the real presence of Jesus Christ in the Eucharist, and baptism being necessary for salvation. So after a while, it became clear that I had to become Catholic. And that was a very troubling experience, because internally, I couldn't even say the word Catholic. And I was trying to figure out a way to tell my wife, to tell my friends, and just the thought was overwhelming. I do remember the first Mass was the Assumption of Mary. And so I sat in the back, and it wasn't full, it was it was in the middle of the week. And that was the first Mass that I ever went to. I didn't tell my wife, I couldn't tell anybody, really. I do remember one night I was laying in bed and I couldn't sleep. And I was hoping my wife was sleeping. And I just said, what do you think if we become Catholic? But I think it surprised her. And that was the first time I was able to say, that I needed to become Catholic. the biggest struggle during my conversion was realizing that Jesus Christ is present in the Eucharist. And since I wasn't a convert yet, I couldn't partake in communion. I think that is the difference between the Catholic Church and maybe a Protestant church, that in a sense the Protestant church invites you to heaven when you die, but the Catholic Church invites you to heaven every week.